I put my trust in you, and I trust in our love. I put my trust in you, I put my trust in love. I put my trust in you, and I trust in our love. I put my trust in you, I put my trust in love.
Hello, friends. My name is Dane Miller.
And I'm Niall Spain, and we're your fuck buddies.
We're a sex and dating advice podcast where we take your sticky, sexy situations and turn them into sexy, sticky situations.
Simply put, we find questions roaming the internet from our wonderful listeners, or from fucking anywhere, honestly, and we'll answer them right here, right now, for you every Monday, sometimes on stage, definitely on Patreon. And guess what? We got news.
Uh-huh.
We've been nominated
Oh,
for
yeah.
multiple Canadian Podcast Awards. Dane forgot, though.
I forgot. No, I'm not going to go down that road. Yes, we got some lovely nominations. Outstanding society and culture, outstanding
Education.
People's Choice.
And that's it. That's the three. I'm nominated for Best Host.
Was that for Fuck Buddies or No Quest?
That's for No Quest, I think. Yeah. I don't know if it matters.
I mean, yeah, it doesn't really matter.
You know,
Niall,
both, but
well-deservedly Best Host. This is the second year in a row I've been holding the whole team back.
After the first year where I was holding the whole thing, you taught me a lot that year.
Yeah, Niall stepped up, and I'm still riding the success of my nomination.
It's a very sneaky ploy by me because Dane's in the closet editing all our episodes and making them sound good, making it sound like I know what I'm doing, while I'm outside being like, look
shaking
at me,
hands, kissing babies,
shaking babies, kissing hands.
Yeah.
That's the real. I shake it up, right?
Yeah.
Everyone else, they're kissing the babies.
I'm the babies,
them, right? Exactly.
Yeah.
So thanks to everyone who nominated us. We love you and we appreciate that. And we're just gonna get into the questions because I know you guys.
The more we talk about anything else, the sadder we're gonna get.
Yeah. The world's a mess. But this week we are gonna talk about: do you share your problems with your girl?
Getting fucked up last night.
Partner whispered, "I hate you," when he thought I was asleep. Do you think he meant it?
Should I bring up what he said?
Was it, "I hate you" while you were sleeping? This is by a deleted user, and it's a deleted question, but I still got the title, and I remember what it says. So this is Ask Men Advice, and we're men, and we give advice professionally.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, do you share your problems with your girl? And then they had like a additional thing being like, and if you do, is it all problems, or do you draw the line at some?
I like the idea that, like, it's not I'm going to come to you and be like, hey, I've been struggling with this, but rather almost like a mitosis. Is that when the cells split? So it's like you take half of your troubles and just implant them into your partner. So it's like
share them.
Yeah. So it's like now I'm now only half as sad about everything.
You know, I do kind of wish we could do that.
It would
not
be cool.
Not so much the giving,
consensually,
but the taking.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like if your partner was sad and you could be like, hold on, bloop,
yeah,
took them all, haha,
like,
and then you run away so you can't get them back.
Or anxiety or something where you just be like, I'm gonna ease this. I'm gonna like hit the release valve a little bit, take a little bit of that old
take the edge off,
silly
you know? Or you could like briefly take all their pain for a second and then put it back and be like, yo, I get you. I get how you're feeling. Because I think sometimes I wish you could feel what someone was feeling just so you could fully be empathetic. Because like you're obviously going to be empathetic anyway. But it's like sometimes the pain is so bad that it's hard to describe.
Mm-hmm. Like when I wore shoes to our wonderful double date and they just tore the shit out of my feet.
It's funny. I was going to talk about when I broke my ankle and then walked on it for multiple weeks and then it hurt for a year. But you're right. That's a more...
Yeah, the 20 minutes in which I had to wear those shoes. Yeah.
It's fair.
No one knows the pain that I went through.
Do you share your problems with your girl?
Yes. Well, okay. I'm going to be honest here. I only do once I've got a grasp on them personally. So I get a lot of, not accusations, but like a lot of people have like talked about how like calm I am and how like I don't seem to have any problems and how adjusted I am and like blah, blah, blah. But it's like a lot of that is, I've talked about it before where it's like, I always felt like a second choice and I always felt like I wasn't worthy of love and I was always sort of like, whatever. So I never really want to burden people with that. Thankfully, once I got, really great friends, yourself included, and a support group and people that I care about and love and who love me back. And I resolved that. I was able to share more, but like for the longest time, I would always, and I still do now, where it's like, if I'm feeling stressed about something, instead of like putting that out into the world and giving it to a partner or a friend or whatever, I like literally stop and be like, okay, how much of this can I affect? How much of it will matter if I talk about it? How much of it is it something that if I just sit and process for a day or whatever, will go away? And if I go through those processes and I ask those questions, and then at the end of it, I'm like, no, this is actually going to be something I'm going to be struggling with for a week or whatever, right? I will bring it up because it's important information to know. Whereas like sometimes I'll have days where I'll tell my partner and I'll just be like, I'm just going through some shit right now and I just need to sort of like figure it out before I express it. And I think that's really helpful for me because then I can sort of like chip away the edges and figure out what actually is the problem, as opposed to being like, I stubbed my toe or what, you know what I mean? Like there's like inciting incidents of being like,
I really like the idea of you stubbing your toe and choosing not to share that pain. I mean, like,
well,
and, like,
you know what I mean?
It's
It's
just like stoic. That's
when you're having like a bad day.
Yes.
And then there's like little small things that.
So it's really funny because I'm the opposite, where like if something's on my mind, I will tell it freely to pretty much you guys, my partner, so that if something does flare up, they understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Instead of it being like, whoa, why did you react a little differently to that than something else? You know what I mean? Because then it's worse explaining it after, in my opinion, because they've kind of gone through that period of being like, whoa, what the hell? Or like confusion.
That's a good point.
Or like putting it on themselves, maybe. Like if you react a little differently to something and they don't have the context, they might think it's them or something.
Yeah. I've gotten very, very good. And this happened like last week, 2 weeks ago, where I don't remember what it was, but I was just kind of bummed, right? Like I just wasn't feeling myself and I didn't know what it was. And my partner had said something and I kind of like snapped at them in a way that like I didn't like. And I think like maybe tops like 2 minutes had passed and I was like, I'm sorry. Like here's what's happening. Cause like, you're right. Like I recognized it was like, oh, if this is going to be a problem, like this is the first thing I've done today. If this is going to be a problem all day, you need to know
for sure. Yeah.
My mindset. I'm usually a little bit better at regulating myself, but there was just something about that day. I don't know what it was. And I was just like, I'm just going through it. And so it's like, there might be a time where I'm just going to go lie face down in the dark on the bed and it's fine. I'm okay. I just need to work through some stuff. And then it's like, you know, by the end of it, it's fine. We go and get like a treat or, you know, whatever. And like, but
I think like there is something to be gained in sharing a thing, even if you can deal with it yourself, even if it's only going to be a day. I don't know if like you need to hold that back from people and take the burden. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with being like, oh, here's the thing that's low scale that's bothering me. You know what I mean?
For me, it's I don't know how to like express it. So I need to like I said, it's like I have like a big clay block and I'm not too sure what the problem is until I sort of like work through it myself.
You can express that too.
Yeah.
You know?
And I'm trying to get better at that because I think it is, like you said, like it's an important context to just be like, I'm going through something and I don't know what it is, but like, I'm sorry if I seem irritable today. I think that is and I'm trying to get better at that. But there are some things where I'm just like, you know, I'll clock and be like, this is just a me thing. And I just need to figure it out, especially back in like, you know, when I first started dating openly with my ex, when we reopened and became like polyamorous, jealousy was a big thing. Even when I was younger, jealousy, you know what I mean? Like jealousy was a big thing and of being like, I need to figure this out because like just being like, I'm jealous. I don't like this is a dumb thing to do because I haven't like narrowed down what it is. I think explaining to your partner why you might be jealous is useful. I'm not saying jealousy is a bad thing. Yes. Because you're going to feel it.
I see that in two ways. I feel like explaining it, like for me, giving a voice to things often helps it just be like tangible. You know what I mean? But like, I think in two ways is like giving voice to, if you're feeling a certain way, is good. Giving your partner a heads up if you're not being a dick about it. Yeah. But then what you're doing is figuring out why, which is, I think, a different thing where you're fixing it and you're getting better and you're progressing and you're like, you know, that. So I think they're almost two different things where one you need to resolve and one I think is just like a warning. And it's like, if you, or not like a warning, like a heads up, a communication. Yeah, you know. Whereas preferably both together, which I guess is what you're trying to wait so you have the full picture, right? Yeah,
because I find that like because the way I process it is I go through like 90 scenarios, right? Where I just sort of spiral, not in a bad way or anything, but it's just like I just sort of like I go through all the motions and I like. And if I try to talk about it before I've narrowed it down, I will start saying things that might not be true, which may mislead my partner as to what the problem is. Because I might be like, oh, it's because of this that you did this, whatever. And then I'm like, you know,
Actually,
if I had just spent 5 minutes to think about it, I'd be like, this has nothing to do with
it
you.
wasn't what you did. It was how I felt. And it's this.
But now I've put it into reality where it's just like, no, that was just me spitballing ideas as to why I might feel this way. So that's a big reason for me is like, because that's the way my process works. It's just like, it's this. Nope. It's this. Nope. It's it. You know what I mean? It's like getting your eyes checked where it's like, is it better or worse? Better or worse?
I hate that. I like when I got my eyes checked, they're like, is this better or is this better? I was like, I don't know, man.
That's a valid answer though. I think saying,
I don't know. I think the glasses they gave me are a little too powerful. They're great. I can now like recline on a couch while playing video games, but like sometimes
now I can see the edge of time. The time knife.
Yeah, and it's grim. It's getting closer every day. Okay, back to the question. I think the point we're both making, yes, and you should.
Yeah.
If your answer is no, I don't do that, things are bad.
Yeah, you're falling into the trap of like the core
man.
of toxic masculinity, right? Like this is when we talk about toxic masculinity, and I just want to look. We've had this conversation recently. I want to stress when we talk about toxic masculinity, we're not saying that masculinity is toxic. We're saying that
we're not saying men are toxic.
We're saying that there is a subsection of what is perceived and exuded as what is masculine is toxic.
Yes.
The same way that like I use this analogy all the time. There is rain, and then there is acid rain.
Yes. Does that mean all rain will kill you?
If we say, oh, there's acid rain, we're not saying that every time it rains, it's acid.
Yes.
But sometimes that rain is bad.
Yes.
And that's what toxic masculinity is. Anyway.
Also, we didn't come up with the term for people getting upset at us.
We didn't make it up.
It's been the term for over 5 decades.
Yeah.
And should we use a different term? We'd be down, but it would also lose the message because we'd say a thing and then people would be like, what?
What does that mean?
And then we'd have to redo.
Yeah.
So it's like, look, perfect world, we would make it something that upsets people a little bit less. But also, it's like, I think sometimes people choose to be upset at the name rather than do the hard work of dealing with what the thing might be.
Yeah, yes. It's
or you're just like, you don't know, which I get it. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like when I was younger and heard shit like that, there was almost like a knee-jerk reaction of like, hey, just like how like feminism almost feels exclusionary because you're like, what about me? But it's like, it's still, it's everybody. You know what I mean? Toxic masculinity, women can perpetuate it too. We're getting off track.
But the one of the core foundations, the building blocks of toxic masculinity is that men need to not be emotional. Men need to not share their problems. Men need to be strong in all the time, and no point in time should there be vulnerability or weakness.
Yeah,
or
you're a brick. You're a hard edgy boy. You're a brick. You don't cry. Bricks don't cry, man.
Bricks don't cry.
Bricks don't cry. You got to build a house. Be covered in the cement, I guess. This analogy is getting away from me. Be a brick. And that's bullshit. Like, there's a reason why men have problems with, like, intimacy and, emotions and treat women strangely. And, like, the male suicide rate is high. These are all because men are taught to withhold emotions, bottle it all up, try to deal with it, and that fucks you up.
Yeah. So anytime you suppress any sort of force, there's going to be equal and opposite reaction, right? So it's like
science.
The more you try to like bottle up your emotions, especially the intense ones of grief and sadness and anger, the more you
fear.
Yeah, the more you
bricks aren't allowed to have,
put all that into a tiny little ball. Eventually, that's going to rupture.
Yes,
and that's going to be a mental breakdown. That's going to be bursts of violence. That's going to be depression. That's going to be
ulcers.
Suicide. It's all bad.
Yeah.
So that's why when we talk about being open and honest and being vulnerable, like those aren't signs of weakness. And if you think they are signs of weakness, then you're not doing well.
Yeah.
And it's really that simple.
It's okay because you've been told that by society and by TV and by other people perpetuating toxic masculinity, but you need to be able to step away from that. And sometimes it's baby steps, but a healthy relationship is not one where you withhold. And look, that's not to say, if someone's having a really bad day and you're dealing with something that you can handle, you choose to not dump it and be there for them. That's fine. You know what I mean? Doesn't mean you're dealing with something that you don't feel like talking about right now, that you have to talk about. That's fine. You know what I mean? There are situations. Nothing is an absolute. However, if you have an absolute, I don't talk to my partner about my emotions, that is undeniably bad.
It's a real bad thing.
Yeah, and it's either you are incapable of being vulnerable and communicative and honest, or you're with somebody who you don't trust enough to take that. Both are bad.
Yeah, 100%. And if you think that you have to maintain this air of strength and vulnerability or invulnerability really start asking yourself, like the struggles that you have and the feelings that you have, like process them, start like actually think about them. And I'm not saying run to a therapist or run to your partner or run to your best friends, because I that's a great idea further down the road. But I think the first step for a lot of men is recognizing that the feelings that they have aren't wrong and they're valid and they exist. And sometimes they're dumb. Like we talk about a lot, where it's like a lot of the times, 9 times out of 10, the fears that you have and the like jealousy that you feel and all that kind of stuff is like kind of irrational. Like there's
sure.
no reason. The only reason you're thinking of it is because there's an insecurity, because society has told you otherwise. Like all these things that are like mounting pressures that like hang over us or are like latching onto us and dragging us down. So just stop and understand that, like, try to filter out all the other noise and just like be alone for a second and be like, oh yeah, the reason I don't trust my partner or can't tell her is because I'm afraid of feeling weak. You understand that that's weakness, is refusing to own up to your feelings and be vulnerable. Like that is when you embody weakness. Strength is doing the things that you're afraid of.
Yeah, not all the time.
Not all the time.
Like if you're afraid of eating a Tide Pod, that's cool. You can not do that.
If you're look at a car and you're like, I'm so scared that one day I'll have to eat every piece of this car.
That's fine though.
You know, there was a world record for eating cars.
Fucking wild, man.
Yeah.
Like, is it only one freak who's ever even tried it?
I think so.
Yeah, that's fine. If there were multiple, that's when I think we've gone too far.
Yeah.
This one's for the boys.
Okay.
It's not a question. It's just a brief thing. And I honestly don't remember we've talked about it before. Have you heard about the new thing they're doing on Instagram where, you know, the way it used to be like on Snapchat, if you screenshot something, it would send it to the person being like, they screenshot the thing you sent. They're doing that, but it's Zoom alerts.
Oh no.
They're debuting it in Australia, New Zealand. So this is for the boys. It's also for the girls who see those gray sweatpant pics.
Yeah.
Just keep an eye out on the Instagram updates in case they roll it out wherever you are.
But does it show you what zoomed in?
I don't know. I know it at the very least goes, this person zoomed in. It's, you know where they're zooming in.
You know they're zooming in.
But maybe it does.
Hey,
maybe it shows you.
I'm going to start zooming in on the wildest shit. Like the weirdest pictures.
Really makes someone feel very self-conscious.
Yeah.
It's always their thumbs. Yeah, that one's for the boys.
That's insane.
And the gray sweatpant ladies.
Why would they do that?
Apparently it started as a thing for advertisers, so they know like what part of their product or something. I don't fucking know.
Who? Not a single fucking person. That's a lie.
I've never zoomed in on an advertisement in my life.
No one has ever been scrolling through an Instagram feed
unless
and come
for gray sweatpants.
Yeah, maybe. I guess if there's a really attractive person but that's not what's happening. This is from Opposite Place 8866. What does this mean? Me, a female, and my friend, a male, have started sleeping with each other recently. He's been through a hope phase, so he has experience, whereas he's the first person I've ever done it with. We slept with each other last night, and then this morning he was hard again, so we started again. I was giving him a hand job and he said, I don't think you'll make me come again. You fucked me up last night. As someone with no experience, I don't know what this means. He in fact did not come a second time. I know that guys have a refractory period after the first orgasm, which I searched can range from a few minutes to around 2 hours, but this was around 7 hours later. Someone help me out, please. I don't know if maybe I was bad the second time around, but I feel like I was doing the same thing.
I assume it's just that. You fucked me up is a weird term.
Yeah.
Was there a crack at any point in your, like a verbal, is that an audible? Was it an angle? Was it a weird color? But was the swelling perhaps injury related and not?
So here's the thing.
Arousal.
Did you actually have sex? Because you say you slept together and in the morning, do you just mean that you slept together? Because she says, we started again, I was giving him a hand job. And then at the end, she says, I was doing the same thing. She doesn't ever really mention that there's sex. Is it were you just doing hand stuff?
I don't know. It feels like they were saying there's like beginning again, maybe starting with a hand job.
Yeah. But she does say he didn't come the second time around. I feel like I was doing the same thing.
But maybe she started and then they moved on to sex after that.
Yeah, maybe. Because I'm wondering like if it is just hand stuff, like perhaps you did a little chafing. And
true, yeah. If there was chafing or discomfort, or like again, people have different refractory periods. He could just be.
And also, how long did you fuck?
Yeah,
right? Because like there have been times where like it doesn't even necessarily have to be like a marathon session. There have been times where like a particular person is especially tight, or we're in weird positions, or even if we just go a little longer than, or you know what I mean, the dick gets sore. It's tired.
Yeah, that's fair.
So like maybe that's the situation where he's just a little tender from a night of good loving. But here's a great opportunity to start your sexual relationship with this person, of being like, hey, I just wanted to check in. You said I fucked you up the other night. I just want to make sure that I didn't hurt you. Or
I would be like, I hope you mean in a good way.
yeah, right. Like there's a good way to like check in, because if you did hurt him, that's good information for both of you to talk about.
And it could be like non-bad hurting in like, oh,
just a tenderness.
We had sex too much, or it was chafing,
Yeah.
It could be bad hurting as in like, yeah, sorry, you used your nails.
Yeah.
And that's bad.
Or your teeth.
Yeah.
Or, the death grip of your hand job was a little too much for me.
Or maybe it's his refractory period or whatever. But the thing is, one, you checking in good. Two, I appreciate him trusting you with that information for your sake and for his own. That's a good sign.
Yes.
And it sounds like playful and positive.
Yes.
Unless he was like, you fucked me up last night.
Yeah. Unless it's like, I'm not going to come a second time.
You fucked me up.
You fucked me up last night. Right? Like if that's the way it was taken, like, I think your ability to read tone is important here, because again, it's like, oh, I'm not going to come a second time. You fucked me up last night.
I'm not going to come the second time. You fucked me up last night.
Just really confused. So I think you do need to ask him about it.
Just be like, who's you? How'd they fuck you up?
I'll fuck them up. Did they hurt you? Did you hurt you?
Did you hurt you?
Then, right? Like, I think this is a very simple thing, and it sets the tone, right? If he gets weird about it, and if he doesn't want to talk about it, then you just like, you kind of have to be like, we need to know about these things, right? Like, I need to know if I hurt you or if I did something weird. Because also on the flip side, if he's like, no, it was just really good sex and I'm tired.
Great.
That's great at self-esteem for you.
That's
because
nice for you to feel.
You're obviously a little insecure about your experience level. But if this guy who's had a bunch of sex was like, yeah, you fucked me so good, I don't need to, I'm
even good for the morning.
You drained me, for 7 hours. I think that's a huge confidence boost that'll hopefully get you out of your head about this experience gap.
Yeah. And then just say, my turn then. Boom.
Yeah.
Plant that puss on his face.
Hurt me.
Oh, I meant more about like, make me come.
Fuck me up.
Fuck me up. Get you in this room. Then to do me next. Drop my phone. Oh. This is by Helper Monkey 87. My partner, 28-year-old male, whispered, I hate you, when he thought I, 37-year-old male, was asleep. Do you think he means it? Me, 37-year-old male, my partner, 28-year-old male, been together for 7 years. We had arguments in the past and almost broke up more than once. The arguments have calmed down and gotten less frequent over the years. We had an argument today while making dinner. I put the dry pasta in the pot before putting in boiling water from the kettle. This got him really angry. I was supposed to heat up the water in the pot and then put the pasta in. He stopped talking to me the rest of the evening. He went into a different room and I went to bed. Around 2 a.m., he came into the room and he thought I was sleeping and whispered, I hate you, and walked back out. I tried to talk to him at 2:30, but he's not responding to me, just sitting on his iPad. He may be calmed down by tomorrow. What are your thoughts on this?
There's a lot in this question. One, have you never made pasta before? The fuck are you talking about?
I do that.
You just have an empty pot.
I put the thing in, I boil the kettle, and I pour the boiling water over the thing, and I heat it from there.
What?
Yeah, it's quicker.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
So you just have a pot that's not hot.
Yeah.
Nothing in it.
Well, pasta in it.
Pasta.
Yeah.
And then you just
pour boiling water over it, and then you turn it on boiling, and you heat up the boiling water, because then you have to wait for it to heat.
That's insane.
It's quick.
That's crazy.
It's quick, man.
Everywhere, I can listen to our Italian listeners.
Well, that's my follow-up. Is your partner Italian?
Yeah.
Because if your partner's Italian...
We've seen the Instagram and TikToks of the Italian husband.
If he goes, oh, mamma mia, no.
Oh, the spaghetti.
Yeah, I know we can do that.
Yeah, we can do it.
I'm European. Fuck you. If he's Italian, no, this is such an overreaction. What's happening here? Also, does he mean it? Yeah, dude, he whispered it at you in your sleep. That's when you mean things the most.
See, I thought maybe we could be like, while he was getting into bed, he's like, I hate you. Like,
he could be talking to like his own
himself
poopy butthole or something.
Yeah, or it's like, he's trying to like get his phone plugged in and he can't figure out the USB. Like, I fucking hate you.
What if he walked in, saw you sleeping like an angel, and did whisper to himself, like, I hate you. I hate you, Fabio. Fuck.
Why do you care so much about how pasta's cooked?
Look at this beautiful man, you upset.
But to like walk into a room, say I hate you to a sleeping person, and then walk out is...
And then continue to ignore you when you wake up at 2:30 while he's on his iPad. Like, it's all bad.
Yeah.
This shouldn't be a big argument, let alone an argument at all. You know what I mean? Maybe a little, you're crazy. Like,
Yeah,
what are
yeah,
you doing?
like, what the
you
fuck is
fucking
happening?
lunatic? A pest is on me from now on. Not a like, and also, you're grown-ass humans. Your partner shouldn't be like, I'm not going to talk to you for the rest of the day. Fuck. And then, I hate you.
Yes. Like, especially over this.
Mm.
And then to further ignore you, like, did you come out and be like, hey, did you say that you hate me?
I'm worried they didn't because they never said that.
Yeah. But even still, it's like, if my partner came out and talked to me, like, I can't imagine what my partner would have to do in order for me to be so childish that I gave them the silent treatment. Because, like, in order to do that, it would have to be something real fucking bad. And I'm not the person to give them silent treatment. Like, if you did something bad enough that I don't want to talk to you,
I would probably not want to be with you.
You're going to be out somewhere. You know what I mean? Like I'm going to leave, or like you would have to have cheated on me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I would be like, go stay with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, fuck you, get out of the house.
If you're in the moment of like a big blow up and like someone's just, maybe you take a minute or you're just like, you don't respond to something or whatever. Sure, maybe, but like a sustained night long silent treatment, what are you fucking doing? Grow the fuck up.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
I think you need to have a conversation with your partner and be like, did you really give me the silent treatment? And then whisper that you hated me because of the way I cooked pasta. Because if that is your metric, if that's where you're drawing the line in the sand, it's like, I am not a perfect person.
Unless he's Italian.
Unless he's Italian, then you understand. We all get it. At which point in time you have to call his mom,
apologize, grovel, tell her that you're burning the secret tomato sauce that she wrote down for you because you're not allowed to use it anymore.
Yeah. Or alternatively call his mom and be like, Luigi's being a real asshole. And then she calls him and be like, she gives him the what for.
Yeah, she throws an uncooked pasta right at him, which is harder.
Yeah.
Than cooked pasta.
She goes and she breaks pasta in front of him to really...
She cuts it with a scissors so it fits in the pot better. And he dies. There
is a guy on TikTok who goes to Italian restaurants and cuts his pasta. He like gets a big scoop and then cuts it with scissors or asks for ketchup, and it's very good.
It's pretty good.
Don't be with a childish man baby who gets this upset about over how you cook pasta or how you cook anything.
Also, it's just kind of worrying in general that you're like, we've had arguments in the past, almost broke up more than once, and they've calmed down and gotten less frequent over the years. This is calmed down?
Yeah.
Like, if I was like, oh, yeah,
Did he used to yell, I hate you, while you were for sure awake?
Yeah. Now, it's going to progress to him just thinking it while you're in a different room. And that's progress, baby.
Yeah.
It's not. Dump this man.
Yeah, it's bad.
At least you cook pasta right, though.
Don't get me started. This is cool impression. A bunch of numbers. Should I bring up what was said? 49-year-old or 29-year-old female, 32-year-old male. I've been dating this guy for a few weeks. Still very fresh, but needless to say, I'm super into him and we're super compatible. We just crossed the intimacy line and had sex about a week ago.
Cool. We took a trip. We drove right past the intimacy line.
Yeah. I love that scene in A Walk to Remember when he takes her.
When they walk past the intimacy line?
Where he's like, now you're in 2 intimacies at once.
Yeah. One foot's in Fucktown and one foot's in Virginville.
Since then, we haven't been able to keep our hands off each other. The other night in the middle of sex, he whispers to me, I'm going to make you mine. I laughed it off, but now I'm thinking about it, and I don't know if I should bring it up. We haven't talked about where this is going / what exactly the other wants, but it's pretty clear that we're both super into each other and compatible long term. I just don't want to be the pushy girl that asks for a relationship too soon. But at the same time, those are some pretty intense words to say during sex. But at the same time, again, I know that sometimes people can say things they don't necessarily mean in the heat of the moment. Any advice is welcome.
My advice is, what do you want? And if you want a thing, ask for that thing.
Yeah.
So if you want to date this person, don't be like, well, you said I want to make you mine. So does that mean you want to date me? And pull a microphone out and stick it right up to their face and hope they say what you want, because they might just be like, oh, it's the thing I said during sex, or I don't remember, out of embarrassment or truth or whatever. You won't know. Whereas you could just be like, oh, this is really fun. I like you. I would like to date you. If he thinks that's you being a pushy girl, then obviously you guys don't want to be together.
And if you're on the flip side of that same coin, it's like, if you are recognizing that you guys haven't been together long enough to want to be in a relationship, that's great. It's good to know that kind of thing.
And but that was going to be my caveat, being like, I want you to ask for what you want, but I want you to be reasonable. Because does it say?
It says a few weeks.
Okay. So maybe you've gotten to that point, maybe not, but you should ask for what you want, but you should also temper it with realistic, real world
Even just something as
expectations.
simple as like, I've been really enjoying our time together. You know what I mean? Like something as simple as that to like sort of solidify that this isn't necessarily just a surface level booty call sort of situation. Like letting him know that like you like him and that it's been a really nice X amount of time and that the sex has been really good. I don't think we should ever really attribute like too much weight onto things said during sex, because again, it's like I've told women that I just met that they belong to me in like dominance play. I did not want to
And
date
then you
those
put them in
women.
the Pokeball.
and then
And then you gotta catch them all.
you know what I mean? It's like I don't think any of them were like,
Wait, is he proposing to me?
yeah, right.
Yeah.
I think it's like in the heat of a moment. I'd understand that like perhaps if it was a much more sensual, like eye contact, intense. But again,
Even then, it's like maybe make you mine is it sexually. You know what I mean? Like maybe
Yes.
it's like it. I wouldn't put too much weight on it. I don't think there's a reason to like. I think it's almost strange, but like you made this offhand comment while we were fighting. You know what I mean? Unless it's something really weird. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like if you're concerned, like someone's like, "I'm gonna put a baby in you," and afterwards you're like, "That's nothing,"
100%.
you know.
Yeah.
And also, like, I guess there are things to bring up if you haven't talked about boundaries and kinks and,
Yeah,
and stuff
if it-
like that. Like, if that's a comment they made that comes from a place of kink that you haven't really talked about, that's definitely a thing you can talk about. I just don't think you should talk about it in a way of like, wait, did that mean you wanted to date me? Because I don't think that's fruitful. I
Yes.
think if you want to date someone, you should ask them. Again, if it's reasonable to do so. And if you think they want to date you, I think you should base it on more than just a throwaway comment during sex. If there are other things that, you know, give you that impression and you are willing to or wanting to date this person, the fact remains you should ask them
You make the
instead
move.
of, instead of being like, you did X, Y, and Z. I will say if they are making you think that and you don't want to, you can definitely be like, hey, I've noticed X, Y, and Z, and I'm kind of getting the feeling like maybe you wanted to take this to the next level and I still want to stay, you know, where we're at. Are you still
before we
cool?
cross another intimacy line.
Yeah. Are you still cool with that? I think that's a point you can bring up their fucking, the things they've done. I've done that before in relationships where like you meet someone and they're like, oh, that's my boyfriend. And you're like, hey,
Nope.
I heard you call me your boyfriend to your friend. And like, we are casual and like, we've talked about this. And like, either had them be like, oh, I thought that's what we are. And had to be like, no, if that happens, we'll have a conversation about it. Or then be like, sorry, it just was less weird than me explaining, well, we're kind of seeing each other, and me being like, yeah, that's fine once we're on the same page kind of deal, you know? So I think that's fine, but either way, it should be coming from you, not a, well, I saw you did this, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Quick-ish one?
Yeah.
Boyfriend's ex spent the night in my bed with my boyfriend. They're both 30, male and female, but he recorded it to me, another female who's 25, to show nothing happened. How do we overcome this? Sorry, I read that crazily. So the guy is 30, his friend is 30, and a lady, and then the girlfriend is 25.
Okay.
Boyfriend's ex spent the night in my bed with my boyfriend, but he recorded it to show me nothing happened. How do we overcome this?
Okay.
I'm hurt, but to my boyfriend's credit, he was very upfront about everything. Texted me immediately the morning after to tell me. My boyfriend, let's call him James, broke up with his ex-girlfriend, Winnie, about 2 years ago. They chose to stay friends, and this has caused issues between James and I, mostly because Winnie can't get over the breakup. She thinks her and James are soulmates and refuses to accept that he stopped being in love with her. So a conversation we'll often have is James spending hours going over the logic of why he broke up with her. He tries to reassure her since they're still friends and she's hurting, but I've witnessed some of these conversations, and he's loving but firm. I expect some of you will say there's still something going on there, but there really isn't. James is definitely over her. We moved in 2 weeks ago, and this caused Winnie to be worse than ever. She's relapsed into depression and crying fits. They're happening constantly. I went to my parents' place this weekend because I had to pack my car full of things and spent Saturday night there. Winnie must have known because Saturday night she showed up at our place, crying, wailing, the works. We have a doorbell camera, and I get a notification as soon as she's there. I didn't see it, but when I did, I texted and called James and checked our indoor camera to see what was going on. This is where James messed up, and he admits that he messed up. He didn't text me the whole night Winnie was there. So all I knew is she showed up. I checked our indoor camera we keep in the living room by the front door, and it was turned off. This is normal. We only turned it on when we're away from home. But I was extremely upset and distraught as I was imagining the worst. I trust James, but didn't understand why he wouldn't answer my calls. He admits it was horrible of him. I was ready to break up with him Sunday, but he texted me and immediately let me know Winnie had come over. Said it sounds really bad, but she spent the night, but nothing happened, and he set up our indoor camera in the bedroom to prove it. I didn't want to believe him, but I did watch the footage, and even though it shows them both laying in bed, it's true Winnie was just crying while James was consoling her. Here are things he did that bothered me a lot. At some point, he kissed her forehead, and he hugged her and held her close. I'm honestly speechless at that. But I understand he knew there was a camera on him the whole time, and I knew I would see him doing that, so I guess he doesn't see it as cheating. So basically, he's asking me for understanding and forgiveness. I have proof that nothing happened, but I'm still hurt. This isn't how I imagine us starting our life together. What are the healthy steps for a relationship?
Okay. I think there is things on both sides here. You are I feel like grasping at straws for the cheating thing. I think you really want to say that he cheated, but you got nothing in that tank. On the flip side, I think this is a gross overstep of boundaries.
Yes.
I think having this dude not be able to have like a firm like conversation with his ex and be like, hey, I'm with someone else. I've moved in with someone else. You can't
broke up 2 years ago.
You can't come over and expect me to dedicate an entire night to consoling you because of a breakup that we had 2 years ago.
It would be pretty bad, like, if she showed up crying, came in, and they sat down for like 2 hours. I'd be like, yo, like, what the fuck? Like, I don't have time for that. You don't have time for that. That's weird. To be like, come in and we'll get in bed and spend the whole night. What are you doing, my friend?
Yeah.
My brother in Christ. What are you doing?
I do not get the, like, I don't understand how someone could do that and be like, this is okay. It's like, because we're friends. It's like, sure, I have a lot of friends, but if I had a friend who was coming over and crying and spending the night, my partner, I think, would have a pretty short fuse for that, and absolutely understandable, because if was happening to me, if my partner's ex was coming over unannounced in tears because they broke up 2 years ago,
I would be like, do you need a fucking restraining order?
Yes. So I think there's a conversation that needs to be had. I think you need to acknowledge.
Let's talk about the camera real quick.
The camera's strange.
It's a fucking weird move.
Because it's strange for both of you. One, of being like, the camera was off, but it always is. Mm-hmm. Then why mention it? Like, what's the point?
Why'd you check it?
Yeah.
Do you think he's going to be like, oh, Winnie's here, but I turn it on? Which he kind of did do. So
he did do it. But like,
also, why couldn't you have gotten the feed if it was recording? You know what I mean?
Was it also sounds like two separate times.
No, I think it's the one night. Like, she was alerted by the doorbell.
Yeah.
And then she tried to do the camera and it wasn't working. But then he was like, here's big brain play. I won't text my girlfriend. I won't tell my ex to go home. I will invite her into bed, hug her all night while she's crying, bust out a camera, can't get in trouble.
Yeah.
What are you doing? That's the worst way out of this. It's
100%.
like it's such a weird thing. Like, can you imagine Winnie's like, she's like, hold on. Just screwing it into the wall.
Hey, can you just move a little to the left so that you're in frame?
Like, can you imagine you're inconsolable and someone's like, let me just video this real quick.
Yeah, for my girlfriend. For the woman that you're currently having a mental breakdown about.
Yeah, it's like, presumably Winnie's going to say things that are personal. So that kind of seems like a gross overstep of,
I guess,
of boundaries.
I don't know if there's audio on it.
I don't know. It's so bad. What are you fucking doing, bud?
Yeah, you need to have a conversation with this dude. I mean, it's shocking that you have gone 2 years, and I guess maybe the crying is a new thing because of the move-in or whatever, but like, you need to have a conversation and be like, look, I have no problem with you being friends with your ex. What I do have a problem with is the fact that she is obviously still very codependent on you, and you seem to enable that behavior, right? So I don't want to be having a nice night with you. And if she shows up in tears, what's going to are you sending her home? Or are we now going to be at the mercy of this woman to show up whenever she wants and cry? Like, is that what we have to expect for the rest of our life together? Is that also, anytime, like, what happens when we get engaged?
Yeah.
What happens when we get married? Or if we get married, right? Like, what happens when we get, like,
what happens at Christmas? What happens at my birthday? What happens at your birthday? Like, you can't live like this. You need to get your boyfriend to set boundaries. You know what I mean? And like, we talked about stuff like, oh, you can't be that person's friend and whatever. And like, there's controlling and then there's healthy boundaries.
Yes.
These situations, not healthy. They need healthy boundaries. For example, can't just show up fucking unannounced. Yeah. You are not going to spend the night. And also, maybe you need to get the fuck over it. Like,
it's be like, hey, you know what I'm going to do as your friend? I'm going to find you a therapist because this woman is not well.
No.
If you're
if this happened 2 weeks prior, I don't think it would be a normal situation.
No.
2 years?
Yeah.
2 years?
And the fact that, like, you have moved in with this person, like, I usually try to give people the benefit of the doubt, but it also seems like this guy is also not over Winnie.
I think he likes having this,
Yeah,
person
maybe.
who like God worships him, or he's just too nice for his own good. And I mean that like he's in a bad way, like he's a fucking pushover. He needs to set boundaries and grow a spine, because just being like, oh, I did all this weird shit, but there's video proof I didn't fuck her, doesn't mean it's good.
Yes. And like, we can get into the murky grounds of like emotional cheating and stuff, but I do
we
think
don't even need to, because everything's so weird. Like, these are boundaries that we don't even need to get granular about.
Yeah.
It set a fucking boundary. You can't have this girl stay over whenever she wants because she's sad.
Yeah. In the apartment that you just moved in with your new partner.
Yeah.
It's another
Also,
thing. Like, if
the
you were,
second you leave for a night, like, it's weird.
yeah, it's like
Does she have access to your cameras?
I mean, I'm going to guess that like she knew that you were gone.
Yeah.
Somehow, whether he told her,
She's probably in a car outside,
Or
fucking crying.
you posted something on Instagram or social media or something, and she saw it. Like, I don't think that was a coincidence. So it's all bad. You need to have a very stern conversation with your boyfriend. And again, don't go to the jealous angle, right? Like you have a very strong position to be like, this is unhealthy.
Yeah.
For you, for her, for me, this is a bad situation. If she's this codependent and she's this upset about us moving in together in our relationship when you broke up with her 2 years ago, that's not good.
Also, when does it end? Where does it end?
That's the thing. It's like, pose like hypotheticals and be like, if she's this upset because we moved in, if we end up getting married, what's she going to do? Is she going to hold us ransom? Is she going to be like, I'm going to kill myself if you marry her? Like,
for sure.
It's supposed to be the happiest day of our life. It's supposed to be a huge monument of our love. And now we have this woman who's potentially going to sabotage every great moment of our relationship.
Sure. Also, like, you're doing a weird thing if you bring a camera in to video it just so that you can be like, I'm okay.
Yeah.
So when you feel like you're in a weird situation, that's the time maybe to say, no, Winnie.
Yeah.
Goodbye, Winnie.
If you feel like I need video evidence that I'm doing nothing wrong.
Hours of video footage just to prove, because everything looks bad and is bad, but the only way I'm exonerating myself is full ass 480p. No, that's bad.
That's terrible
4K,
quality.
8K even.
480p.
Are you hugging her or fingering her?
There's 7 pixels on this fucking screen. And I can tell that Winnie is 2 of them.
480kp.
Oh, 480. That's too high dep. That's your glasses.
You can. That's what it says on them. I thought it was just the brand. What are you doing, man? Winnie, girl, you need to start listening to this podcast.
Winnie, you're not well, and I'm worried about you. Please seek psychological help.
More like Winnie the Fool. She's being foolish. Thank you, Josh Eagle and the Harvard Cities, for their song Paper Stars.
Thank you very much for listening, friends. Once again, thank you very much for the love in the Canadian Podcast Awards. It is always an honor to be nominated. We are up for People's Choice, so head on over and vote for that if you'd like. Just go over to Canadian Podcast Awards. It's very easy to vote. You can also find our stuff all on the social medias. Thank you. We love you.
We love you. It's always an honor, and every time you come back and support us, we love it. So tell a friend, give us a good old review somewhere. Join us on Patreon if you'd like. We need money to make the show go.
Yeah.
Sadly.
Make show go.
But we love you, and we have a great time hanging out with you every week. And every time anyone reaches in. So please reach out. That's the one. Reach out to us and give us questions and love.
Yeah.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
This is some bad sex writing that I have found for all of you. It's a Twitter post. So you know it's not going to be
great.
I'm standing in line at the coffee shop, and some petite cutie with bright blue eyes and curly, dirty blonde hair smiles at me. My heart literally winces in pain, and I fight the urge to karate chop her out of self-defense. Sorry, go hurt somebody else. I don't need your help, peace emoji. Take your home from college hot girl somewhere else, boo. I'm not entertaining your ego, and I don't want to be friends. I won't follow you on Insta, because I truly don't care where your butt cheeks are going on vacay this time. Leave me in peace. My New Year's resolution was to do 2K23 single. Honestly, it isn't hard when you're pent up with hurt and disappointment. I'm doing better this year than I've ever been, making more money than I ever had, pursuing things that make me happy. I'm focusing on myself. I don't need a friend group. I certainly don't need a girlfriend. I'm not interested in making new friends, and I'm not interested in meeting the one. I don't trust any of you, period.
So this man has paid for Twitter Blue.
Yes.
With a
So that's one red flag already.
That's all I need to know about you, sir. My name is Dave Miller.
And I'm Niall Spain.
And we've been your fuck buddies.